What up, mathletes? Whoop, whoop. All right, let's get into this. This is 3.4 intercepts of graphs, and your learning target is I will identify intercepts of functions and solve equations by graphing. Write that down. Take a minute. Go ahead, graph each point right there on the given XY axis, and we're going to get rolling. I'm going to take a drink, assuming you're pausing it. Awesome. Okay, well, let's do this. So again, you should label your fives, right? We have our X, we have our arrows. So those are good. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. Okay? And then 2, 0. So 1, 2, 0 right here. Perfect. That's A. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 2, down 4, that's B. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, that's C. 4, negative 2, 4, down 2, that's D. And last is E, negative 1, up 1, 2, 3, that's E. Perfect. And that's how you graph points, right? Okay, you got a minute? Go ahead. Let's look at our vocabulary. Believe it or not, 3 of them are basically the same thing. So let's talk about that. Wrong one. There we go. X-intercept is the x-coordinate of a point where a graph crosses the x-axis. Your positive is where the graph of the function lies above the axis, and we're not going to put it, but the negative is where the function lies below the x-axis, right? Your root is a solution of an equation. So the x-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the x-axis is also going to be known as a root. It's going to be the solution of an equation. And guess what a zero is? A zero is an x-intercept of the graph of a function, a value of x for which f of x equals 0. So y equals 0. In other words, the x-intercept, the root, and the 0 are the same thing. So just keep that in mind. All right, pause this, write down what you need. We are going to move straight on to Neverland. Okay. So I'm sure you've got those written down. It's amazing. I want you to look at this graph. Just want to talk about a couple of areas. And if you have a highlighter, this might be your place. So everywhere you see me highlighting in orange right here, these are the positives. So the positive is anywhere above the x-axis. Positive. In the same way, anywhere below. What do you think? What's the opposite of positive? Hey, hey, hey. It's below is the negative. All right? And where it crosses the x-axis. So this point right here, this point right here, and this point right here. And this point. These are called the x-intercepts. I think this is green, but it might come out yellow. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's yellow. X-intercepts. And it's smudged. There we go. And last, where it crosses the y-axis, right here, is the, can you guess, y-intercept. Let's see. Is it going to smudge in blue? Lightly. Maybe if I push it. Yeah, it's smudged. Oh, well. You get the point. I just like highlighters. They're satisfying. Okay. And now we're going to put some values to that. So my x-intercept, we noticed I have 3 of them, so I'm going to make 3 points. 1, leave a little bit of room, 2, and 3. Okay? My first x-intercept over here. If you look, guys, you got to look at your own pages, but if you zoom in, I think it's at about negative 4 point. So notice that everything goes by 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So it's about negative 4.1-ish, negative 4.2-ish, anything in there. So let's say negative 4.1 on the x, and it's 0 on the y. Right here, we see that's about negative 2.2 on the x, and again, 0 on the y. And then right here, we see that's, oh gosh, that looks almost like, I don't know, 0.3-ish, 0.3, and still 0 on the y. Probably should give an extra room here, but there we go. Now let's look at our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, notice it's where x is 0 on the x-axis, so x is 0. And what is my y-intercept? It looks down there, right about -3 on the nose. Okay? Now I know these aren't the nicest values right here, but they work. And let's look. Do you notice it's negative whenever we go to the left of -4.1, that x-intercept right there? So I'm going to look at the negative side. I'm going to say when x is less than -4.1, right? Is it negative anywhere else? Well, it's negative between these two x-intercepts. So that's between, we know it's going to be between -2.2 and 0.3. So when x is between there, in other words, when x is greater than -2.2 but less than 0.3. Okay? Can I pull my picture up now? Get it out of the way. Get some stuff out of the way there. Perfect. Okay, and this is all just getting used to this stuff. Let's see, when is it positive? Well, it's positive right here between these two x-intercepts. So it's positive between -4.1 on the x and -2.2 on the x. We're going to put x in the middle, say, hey, it's greater than that one, but it's less than that one, okay? We also see at the very end here, it's just greater whenever it's greater than this last x-intercept. So when x is greater than or equal to, we're going to say or equal to, right? We consider on the x-axis to be in that positive area. When it's greater than or equal to, what am I thinking? 0.3. Perfect. Boom. I know that's new, but we're getting used to this. Just new notation, new ways of writing. Okay, just little intros. Don't worry if it doesn't all hit. We'll get it. We'll get it. Okay, moving on down here, it says indicate the coordinates of the x and y intercepts. So let's look. Our x-intercept is when it crosses the x-axis, which is at -2. So again, this is going to be at -2, 0. Where's the y-intercept? Right here where it crosses the y, and that's at 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 0, 4. You might be starting to notice a pattern at the intercepts. There's something about one of the variables in each one. So let's look at the x-intercept here. When I look at the x-intercept, do you know automatically what that y value is going to be? Do you notice that every x-intercept so far, look at all the x-intercepts, y is always 0. And we look right here, what's the x value? 1, 2, 3. And then at the y-intercept, what are you noticing? What is the x value at each y-intercept? Always 0. See how they switch places? That's going to help us later. And our y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's get a little more practice with this. Take a minute. Why don't you see if you can identify the x and the y-intercepts for both of these. Just take a minute. Ready, set, go. I'll take a sip, assuming you're pausing it. Don't judge me when you see me switch cups, because one was tomato soup, one's coffee. It's cold, but on a tomato soup kick. Okay, let's look at our x-intercepts. First of all, we already know what our y value is, don't we, for both of these? So we can almost fill it in like this. I will tell you, just knowing this will give you partial credit on a lot of problems going forward. In the same way, I know what my x value is for my y-intercept. See how I could already fill in over half of this just by knowing where the zeros go? That's something to know. Okay, and let's look. There's also, oh, I see there's two x-intercepts over here, by the way. Probably make that happen. Let's see, x-intercept right here, right at -4. Boom, -4. X-intercept over here at 1, 2, 3. And we see a y-intercept down here at -12 on the y. See how easy that is to fill in? Let's even do it over here. See an x-intercept here at -1, 2. And another x-intercept at -1. And then I see my y-intercept here at -1, 2. -2. Now let's talk about when it's positive versus negative. Notice, I'm going to highlight in orange like I did above. It's positive when it's above the x-axis. Okay, and where is it above the x-axis? It's positive for x is greater than or equal to 3, that x-intercept. And it's also positive for x is less than or equal to -4. How about when it's negative? It's when x is between what? Let's see. Right there, those same two x-intercepts, when x is between -4 and 3. So our x-intercepts, which we're also going to talk about being our solutions and our zeros and our roots, they help us find out where the graph goes from negative to positive or positive to negative. In the same way, let's take a look right here. Take a minute, see if you can fill in where it's positive, where it's negative, all that good stuff. Ready, set, go. Okay, I'm assuming you paused it. Let's do this. So I'm actually going to start out with the negatives. So I see on this one, right here is -2, when x is less than -2, right? When it's less than going this way. And when x is greater than what? -1. So then where is it positive? Well, it's just positive this little teeny little hump right here. Boom. Do you see that? Just that little teeny little space right there. And that's between -2 and -1. Remember, negatives kind of feel opposite because the bigger the number in the negative, the real less it is. Awesome. We're going to keep doing this going forward. Just keep that in mind. All right. Just investigating graphs. Remember to pause as needed. Now we're going to talk about how to interpret a graph given a situation. Go ahead and scroll up to the top here. The graph shows the height of a ball for each second x that it is airborne. Use the graph to estimate the x and y intercepts of the function, where the function is positive and negative, and interpret the meaning in the context of the situation. Well, where is the x-intercept? We see the x-intercept right here at 0, 9. Or excuse me, 0, 9, 9, 0. Oh my goodness. And we should already know the y-intercept is going to have a 0 right here, and we see the y-intercept right here at 0, 4. Now, let's go ahead and interpret this. If this is a ball being thrown, what is this telling me? The ball will hit the ground sorry, got to hold my paper down, after 9 seconds. Okay? And then what is the y-intercept telling me? Well, that's where it was thrown from. So we can see right here the ball was thrown from a height of 4 feet. The ball was thrown from a height of 4 feet. Again, I'll leave this up here for a second. Copy down as needed. Can't see all that. Here, I can move my picture down. You ready? The moving head. Whoa. We'll move it back up for the next one. Okay? All right. And when is this positive? Well, it's positive between x equals 0 and 9. So it's between 0 and 9, x in the middle. It's going to be less than or equal to 9 and greater than or equal to 0. And the ball is positive. What is that telling us? That's telling us the ball is in the air for 9 seconds. So the same thing. It's just saying the ball is in the air for 9 seconds. And what about negative? Is it negative at all? No. Why? It isn't negative. It isn't negative because the ball can't go underground. Boom. Awesome. So that's how we interpret a graph. We just kind of take what it gives us and roll with it. Now, let's go ahead and move on to